Colorado Al chimes in here with a pop-up IM saying, Mr. Chapman, is the G20 summit nothing but a gold-plated horse manure?
I would say that, and to be more refined than that, these are all members of the elite groups throughout the world, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the Royal Institute in London, the Bilderberger Group, and the World Economic Forum, the Group of 30, the Group of 300, and it goes on, plus the foundations. I all belong to them. They're all in on it. Now, they're supposed to be representing you and I and the citizens of other countries. They're not. They're representing the people who control them, which is the Illuminati. That's who they answer to. And they want world government, and that's what this whole thing is going towards. And yes, they're there to do the bidding of their masters, not for us. And it is horse manure in a very simple sense.
Doug chimes in from Ireland, brings forth the comment that Mr. Chapman, you talk about the G20 in respect to these leaders. What did you see as Mr. Obama to these leaders and the attrition that he's moved forward as the president, and the little respect that he gave the Queen yesterday, even though he did give her respect today, just today, a few hours ago, he met with the King Assad and almost fell over, bowing down to the man. What is the insight here in this control behind the scenes of world leaders toward the president?
Well, first of all, he met with the Queen before, and so she gave him his marching orders. She's the head of the black nobility of Europe, the head of the nominal head of the Illuminati today, the visual head. And the Saudis, the House of Saud is nothing but a bunch of corrupt criminals. They made a deal during the First World War. We'll fight with you against the Turks and the Germans, and if we win, we want this, that, and the other thing. And so the Allies won, and the Saudis were given everything they wanted. But the kicker was that England and the United States will defend them in the event of that they have problems, external or internal. And the other side of the deal was all the money that you make on oil, because they knew then there was oil there in Saudi Arabia, that you will deposit that money with us so we can invest it in the way that we choose. And that was the deal. So I don't know the reason why the president was so openly friendly, we'll put it that way, to the Saudi Arabians. But I think maybe religion might have had something to do with it. And I think also, he wanted to instill in them that we're going to continue to protect you, so don't worry about it.
Mr. Chapman, this one comes from Florida. James asked, will the golden rule be continued as usual? Quote, he who has the gold rules, unquote.
He who has the gold makes the rules. But that's okay. It was close enough. And yes, it will. And it always has historically, and it will continue to do so. And from time to time, gold will lie sacrosanct and do nothing. And every once in a while, it'll move from $250 an ounce to $1,000 an ounce. And then, if it wasn't suppressed, it would be $2,000 now. Because if you work in an official inflation since 1980, when it was $850, you would find that you're looking at close to $3,000 an ounce. Unofficial, real inflation is $7,000 an ounce. So you can see what the central banks have been up to. And it's like a rubber band. They keep on pulling it back, and we all know that eventually it's going to snap and go the other way. So we just bide our time, stay long, gold and silver, coins and shares. Let the rest of the world go by, take care of the other important things of having food in and shelter and weapons for protection of your family, and do the best you can in life. There's a lot of powers beyond us, but every once in a while the people who make the rules make a big mistake, and that's why there's wars and revolutions. And I think this group is headed for it.
Mr. Chapman, yesterday on this very show, the comment was brought forth concerning the fact that an automobile could be purchased in 1961 for 42 pieces of gold, and today, if you were to take the 42 pieces of gold that you bought in 1961 at $37 an ounce, you could buy a good car of like quality with those same 42 pieces. Is that a reality? Is that a good statement?
It's a good statement, and it's always been that reality. Usually they compare it to a Savile Row suit. Savile Row in England is a place that has high-end shops, and they make suits. And this goes back for hundreds of years. So that axiom has held up over those years.
We're going to have to take a break here. We're about 45 seconds early, but we're going to take a break, Mr. Chapman, and we'll be back in 90 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Drew Rains with Marines Disquisition. My guest host with me today is Mr. Bob Chapman, the internationalforecaster.com. You can find his contact information. We will announce it here when we come back from the break, and it's found on my website, the 3 W's, amd.elequity.com, for your investigative pleasure. 90 seconds to 2 minutes. This is Drew Rains. Come back to us, please. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're back bright and early, and we do have tornado warnings out. I want to let you know that, yes, those of you that are sending me IMs telling me the weather looks pretty bad in Arkansas, I'm under severe tornado watch here in southwest Little Rock. We have hail has been coming down off and on for the last 45 minutes, about the size of a small marble. We will continue the show, and if something happens to me, Larissa has got the switch, and she will take the show. Fortunately, Mr. Chapman does speak a little Russian, so we know we'll keep the show going. Isn't that right, Mr. Chapman?
Unfortunately, no, I don't. I know the sound of it, but I don't know how to speak it.
Okay. We have a caller. We'll start off with a caller right now. We do have a caller, and I don't know where they're calling in from. Come on in here. Tell us who you are, where you're calling from, and ask Mr. Chapman your question. Caller? Oh, well, they must have hung up. No, they got the wrong phone number. Are you still there, Mr. Chapman?
I am.
Oh, good. Phew. I thought I'd lost everybody. We'll go to the internet question from Betty in California. Mr. Chapman, the world leaders definitely are pledging a $1.1 trillion on the global institutions, such as the International Money Fund, to combat the downturn. However, the European Central Bank has agreed to cut the interest rate to a record 1.25%. What is that going to do?
Well, not an awful lot, because it was 0.25%, and the markets were looking for 0.5%. But Mr. Touche, who is the head of the European Central Bank, has said there's room for more cuts. We just didn't want to make a 0.5 point cut at this time. And so I believe that they probably will cut some more. Production of in industry, and most European countries are exporters, has been down precipitously. Unemployment is rising. And one of the things in Europe that we don't have in the United States is that it's very difficult to lay people off. And when you do get laid off, you still have medical benefits, which are built into the system, and you have long-term unemployment benefits. In the United States, you might have 6 months in any given state, whereas you might have 3 years in Europe. So the cushion is there that is not available in the United States. So the European economy will get worse more slowly than the U.S. economy or England. England is not part of the continent. It's a group of islands, so to speak. And